Skylar Dixon, Lolly Farm, and here I am. This is what the farm looks like on a beautiful 65-degree late January day, right after we have thawed out from a snowstorm that really did some moderate damage here. Nothing too bad, but I want to show you kind of what it looks like for a farm at the beginning of the year, to try to get back. And hopefully my goal here is to check in 2 to 3 times a week, just so you know what we're up to, talk about kind of what we're doing, what we're thinking. And right now, really the plan, as you can see behind me, some green bean trestles and Trumbuncino squash trestles that are left over from late last fall. Right now, the big goal is just try to clean up and prep for seeding and planting that'll start in the next few weeks, actually. So you can see right here, even some old okra plants, all just kind of like left there from early fall, late last summer, when you just kind of run out of energy and time, and it just stays. So it has to always be done with. Problems always stick around. But one of the things I've been doing this semester too, and last year, is I teach a first year writing class at Ole Miss, which is the university close by here. And the cool thing about it, at least for me, is that in the spring, the semester has a theme. That theme is food. So it's always really neat this year and last year to kind of spend the spring not just working at the farm, but also teaching about food and food concepts. I always like the first year, or the first week, which we just had, to start off with Wendell Berry, who, before we started this farm, I don't know, like 5 years ago, I went on a really big Wendell Berry nonfiction kick. His book, I think it's The Unmaking of America, is that right? I'll post it, I can't remember the name of it. His book of essays, classic book, so classic I can't remember the name of it. Was really instrumental in kind of like reframing my mind when it came to how we think about food and food systems and agriculture in this country and in the West in general. So the essay that I picked this week for them to read is a relatively recent one, I think 1990s, 30 years ago. It's not recent, is it? But it's called The Pleasures of Eating. And in it, Berry is this kind of classically cantankerous self. He's a cranky man. And I understand that crankiness, but it's a crankiness that can kind of be infectious, and rightfully so, when we see kind of the state of agriculture in this country and the state of our food systems and the kind of state of it's bigger than that, our industrialist mindset of looking at things as products and looking at things only as consumers. It's something I do want to protect myself against a lot of the time, is Berry's crankiness. I don't find it a good ally, crankiness or anger. It can certainly be a good ally sometimes to spur someone into action, but can also be too heavy, too daunting. But his crankiness also seems to be like his ideas, which are really good, are couched in that crankiness. And one of them is that we are, as a culture, divorced from the process of food. He says in that famous line that eating is an agricultural act. And that, like, eating is the final part of a process that begins with seed or with egg, or with whatever you're eating. So one of the goals here that I'm hoping to do this year on this farm is show the process. I've been guilty of that same kind of mindset of looking at agriculture or selling of vegetables only as a product, only as a CSA subscription, or only as like a product at a farmer's market. That doesn't really help anyone, I don't think. Instead, my goal, my hope, is to stick to this YouTube channel and show the process from beginning and all its kind of messes and warts to the end, the process of eating. We're also making a bigger commitment this year to act more as a homestead, to grow our own food, which we're doing. But a lot of times as a farm, you grow all your food just to sell it. not all, but way too much of it, and that you're not enjoying or finding pleasure or finding sustenance as much as you'd like to in the things you grow. That's another commitment we're making this year. What can we grow? What can we do with it? So that's my hope. To do all that though, first things first, I have to take down this trestling to get rid of these okra plants. I have to recover all these plots where the wind and the rain and the dogs have taken up a lot of this plastic, so I can get it covered again. So as I'm going through, and I've got my box cutter here, and I'm cutting the zip ties that we put in, and pulling out the T-posts, getting rid of the cattle panel, which is a little bit like a farming rodeo. This thing can kind of move and wiggle on you. But I do want to show you. So right here, you can see this plant right here. That's our green beans from last fall. And if you can kind of look at it, I'll pull it out. See how just like it all came out. It's all like really brittle. The reason you leave it there to let it decay is if you pull it out while it's still alive, while it's still living, you're pulling out a root system that in a lot of ways is still alive. And all of those nutrients that go in, not just in like the carbon of the green bean plant and the green bean leaves, but all the root systems there, it's like millions and millions of microbiome and like little micro reactions going on. So it's not just carbon there, it's all sorts of like nitrogen and phosphorus and little bitty animals there. If you rip those out, you're taking all those things away from the soil. But if you let your plant die, then a lot of that carbon, a lot of that stuff stays in the soil, okay? And those processes can continue in a more natural way than if you just rip them out. And you could begin to compost them if you wanted to. Then we do that sometimes, but really it's just a lot better, both for your soil and for the plants down the road, to leave all those processes and the memory of those processes in there. So I'm about halfway done with this trellis. And after I do that, I'm gonna move over here. But look, I saw hanging up here, completely forgot about. We have some dried green beans from last year. And if you look in here, look how beautiful. You know, it's kind of messed up looking, but some of these I just picked a little while ago. Great. There we go, look. Nice seeds. So all these other ones I'm going to pull down, and we'll have a nice head start on green bean seeds for the summer. While also the ones we have left over we're going to soak and then eat. So a nice little surprise. Look at that. Please subscribe if you haven't. We'd really like to bump the level of subscriptions up here, and I'll see you again later this week.